Hi, my name is Marcus, and today I'll walk you through the Economic Value Added Framework, or EVA, one of the most powerful tools we have to understand what really drives value in a company. So let's look at the agenda for today's presentation. I'll start with a brief overview of the framework. Then I'll explain its importance from a consulting perspective. But the core of this presentation will focus on applying the framework to a real-world case example with Tesla and Volkswagen, as these companies have very different value creation models. Finally, I'll close with a few limitations and improvements. But starting with the EVA framework, which is built on a very simple but powerful equation and is often used in a valuation setting. Shortly, it quantifies value creation based on three core levers, being ROIC, which is the return on invested capital, WACC being the cost of capital, and the growth in NOPAT, the net operating profit after tax. The formula in the middle of the slide captures the math of the value creation, meaning that a company creates value when it's earned a high return compared to its cost of capital. So now that we better understand the framework, we can start asking ourselves which role this framework play in a management consulting setting. For consultants, EVA is not just a financial tool, it is a diagnostic tool. It helps us to deconstruct value into its economic drivers and understand where and how value is created. As consultants, we use EVA to break down problems within valuations in M&A and IPOs, to evaluate the performance of different business units and to inform strategic resource allocation. It lets us move from what the company is worth to why it's worth that much and how we can improve it even further. Now let's jump to the application of the framework. Let's begin by looking at Tesla, a company where value creation is driven by aggressive reinvestment and high capital productivity. Tesla might come to us as consultants with a problem statement like, our valuation is massive. Where's the value actually coming from and how do we defend it going forward? And to answer a problem statement like this, we can apply the EVA framework. By inserting the four inputs into the equation, we get an implied enterprise value. Here is not the enterprise value that matters, but instead the why. Why do we create this value? EVA shows that Tesla's value isn't just about profitability. It's about reinvesting profit into high return opportunities. As consultants, this enables us to structure potential value creation problem statements, and from these we can develop concrete hypotheses. Three of them I've included on the slide, leading to potential recommendations, as you can see in the bottom of the left-hand side on the slide. So in short, in the Tesla example, EVA lets us move from Tesla is valuable to Tesla is valuable because of X, Y, and Z. And that clarity enables better strategic decisions. Now, let's move on to the Volkswagen case, where the client might come up with a problem statement like, we are profitable, but we are not growing. How do we improve our value profile without taking unnecessary risk? In this situation, EVA helps us to diagnose this by showing a different valuation creation logic. As the input shows, Volkswagen creates value through scale and stable returns, not very high growth. However, its ROIC spread is still higher than the WACC, but very narrow, which makes the capital allocation critical. And as consultants, we again can utilize the framework to come up with some hypotheses and recommendations, as highlighted on the slide again. So this time, EVA becomes not just a calculation, but a tool to prioritize capital, refocus strategy, and enhance investor confidence. And as shows in this case, the recommendation isn't grow faster, but rather grow smarter, reinvest better, and improve capital efficiency in the Volkswagen case. Hence, the application of the framework demonstrated that the framework can be used to analyze value creation in different companies in the same industry. by breaking down what really drives the value in a specific case company. In the end, I just wanted to briefly highlight some of the selected limitations and potential improvements of the framework. One of the limitations that is worth highlighting is the lack of strategic context. While the first bullet in the improvements is also to use the framework as a starting point in evaluating problem statements before deep diving into operational and strategic drivers behind the value creation. In the end, EVA is not just a valuation formula. It can be used as a consulting framework for translating value creation problem statements from complexity to clarity and from analysis to action. Thank you for your time.